Go ahead.
Okay. German, Swedish, Scotch-Irish. Shuggy was Scotch-Irish. English. My grandmother, Clara, and she had a relative here who signed the Declaration of Independence, Dr. Benjamin Pierce.
His name is on the Declaration of Independence.
Yes.
Incredible. And he's a family
You can see it
member.
in Washington, D.C. They have the picture of the signing and all that. And he's right there in the forefront.
That's actually very impressive.
It is.
You know, each one of these things has a little story by itself.
Yeah. And that's about the extent of the different nationalities. So
pretty cool. So do you know how your parents met?
I don't, unfortunately.
Oh.
They both lived in Santa Monica. My father was working for provincial life insurance. My mother was a school teacher, and they met. She was 5 years older than he.
Oh wow, really? Okay.
Yeah. And they were married in Santa Barbara because my grandmother was in the hospital, and they just had a little ceremony right there.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
And
What year was that?
Hmm?
What year was that?
1929.
Okay.
I was born 3 years later in 31. I have a brother 2 years older than I, David Robert Silverspar. He has He had three sons, and now he has grandchildren to carry on the name, of which they're all very proud.
I've met him. He's a sheriff or a
One
peace
of his
officer.
sons was a sheriff of La Cañada,
Right.
La Crescenta.
Oh, that's his son. That is.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
My brother owned a service station on the Angeles Crest Highway turnoff, so
Okay.
it was quite a busy place. And his wife, Myra, was the nurse, RN, and she became the traveling nurse for the city of Pasadena.
Very cool. So Cedars of Lebanon for you. You were born in Hollywood. Your brother?
He was born in Santa Monica.
Okay. And you guys have. So when you were born in Hollywood, but were you living in Santa Monica?
I was living in Westwood.
In Westwood. Oh my goodness. Okay. So at some point you all ended up in Santa Monica on 11th Street, right?
Yes. I was 5 years old when we moved into Santa Monica, and I was there until I married.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I actually remember your little house because I used to live up the street as a neighbor. I didn't know at the time that we knew, that we were going to be here.
Was that something?
So you went to Santa Monica High, right?
Yes.
What do you remember about that?
I graduated in 49. We were the 49ers.
Okay. Was high school good to you? Did you have a good time?
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Were you a good student generally in school?
I was a good student. I was very shy, sat in the last spot in the room.
Okay. So, you have actually a pretty interesting and illustrious career. How did you get into ice skating? Was that a hobby at first? I know there...
I was so shy. My mother enrolled me in modeling school, which was in Hollywood, and I had to take the streetcar there and go to classes. And
how old were you? I'm sorry. How old were you?
It was between my junior and senior year in high school.
So a 16, 17-year-old taking the streetcar into Hollywood.
Yeah.
Okay. By yourself?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. All right.
She would pick me up sometimes too, and we'd have a soda and then come home.
So okay, please tell me more. Tell me more.
Tell you what?
More.
More. Oh, okay. Tell me more. That did me a world of good. I became the campus dress manager in high school, so it was kind of fun. And I was elected best dressed of the senior class.
Cool, nice.
So it all kind of tied into my career that I moved into. Then I went to Cuba because I ice skated.
Wait a
every
minute.
summer.
The way I understand it is you were sort of like the proverbial Hollywood discovery story, or kind of lifted, you were found ice skating or discovered ice skating, and they asked you to do some modeling of some kind?
Yes. The modeling had an agency
There we go.
within it,
Yeah.
and they were looking for ice skaters to just parade around and not do much ice skating, but just glide around the ice. And
In California.
yes. And so I went for the interview, and they hired me, and they found I could ice skate because that was a hobby. And so they put me in the front of the chorus line. And so I was in 4 of the production numbers in the ice skating, which took place in Havana, Cuba, just before Castro was coming in. He was kind of the talk of all of the backstage help and crew, and they were looking forward to his coming in and saving them all. And after I finished that, which was just 3 weeks, and I came back and I enrolled in secretarial school. And I was about to be hired by Prudential Life Insurance Company, and all of a sudden I got a call from this Rosemary Reed swimsuit company. It was market week and they needed an extra model. So they hired me, and I worked and enjoyed that, and they liked me very much and kept me on and put me in their publicity department. So I was kind of a secretary there, plus I did all of their extra fashion shows and their publicity stunts, and I traveled for them as a stylist to stores all over the country, where I was introduced as a stylist coming in to help you select your swimsuit wardrobe.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, I traveled by car with our various salesmen from place to place. I worked south. I worked Denver through the Salt Lake City, San Francisco, Las Vegas line, and locally, which was really fun. Then I got a call to go over to a television show, which at that time was just on radio.
Well, before we jump there, so how long did you work for the swimsuit company? How many years were you there for?
Ooh, a long time. 14 years.
That's a long time. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you had the opportunity, of course, beyond Cuba. You also went to Australia and.
This happened with Rosemary Reed.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah. First trip out of the country, we had licensees
Mm-hmm.
and all over. And the first one was to Australia, New Zealand, and Hawaii. And the second one was to Europe, which was, we landed in Paris, and we did Belgium, Zurich, and London. And the third one was to South America, which was Rio, Buenos Aires, and Sao Paulo, and back to New York. So that was wonderful, the trips that I had.
So what was the most exciting one for you? Do you remember one special or one that really kind of sticks out of all that travel? There's got to be a lot of stories.
I loved Europe, and Paris was my thrill, and London, the beautiful place there.
So I have did you meet, you have Kip,
I
Did you
met Kip's father on Queen for a Day. He was production
Okay, so that's
manager.
kind of the next portion of it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I met him, and he wooed me beautifully, and we married when I was 20, and that was in 1952. And we were married close to 9 years.
So
And at the time I had Kip when I was 28. And the two of us just kind of grew apart. It was a very amicable separation. And I was single and had a lot of fun and a lot of dates.
So how did you, in fact, get started with how did you get started with Queen for a Day?
I was working for Rosemary Reed.
Right.
Yeah, and they sent me over to do the show.
Okay, as a model
Wear
again.
their bathing suit on the show, which was given away to the Queen in a wardrobe.
Right.
And then when what was it? Oh, then my boss at Rosemary Reed retired to have her own business, and the person that came in decided I wasn't needed anymore. And Queen for a Day liked me very much, so they kept me on there,
Okay.
for which I worked 14 years.
It seems like people like you wherever you go.
Well, I was so fortunate because I was kind of an innocent kid all along, and they kind of felt protective of my thing, and I think that was,
Sweet.
part of my success.
So you went on, of course, to marry your husband, your first husband.
Yes. And
What was
then
his name? What was his name?
K. Anders.
K. Anders. Okay.
Mhm.
And
Of which I had Kip, and we were married, and we divorced when Kip was probably, let's see, he was born in September 1, when he was about 15 months.
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you were married for 9 years.
Yeah. Kip
And
was,
how long into the marriage did Kip come? 3 years later, you said?
no, we were married 7 years before I had him, or 7 or 8
Oh,
years.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
We had fun. We traveled and went to Hawaii 3 times and stuff like that, but we just kind of grew apart.
Sure.
We had different aims in life.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, you'll get a kick out of this one. When we wanted got our divorce, his fraternity brother was a lawyer for both of us.
You know what? God bless you. God bless you. I can only be so lucky, something like that.
Settled everything.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, she fell far from the tree.
And I didn't take any alimony. I just had child support. He got the car, I got the house, and all the bills.
And all the bills that come with it. So after, did you stay on the show afterwards and continue?
Yes.
With it? How long were you on Queen for a Day?
I stayed on the show till I was expecting Christopher.
Okay. So by this time, of course, you went on. How long were you on the show? How long did
Well,
Queen for a Day really go on for?
14 years I remember being actually on television.
On television.
Okay.
Pretty cool. And that was a deal. Tell us a little, how you would go to work like any other job, punch in, they'd put you in a costume and say, this is what we're doing today, and you'd have to...
I would go to Rosemary Reed, and I would go over to do the show, and then I'd come back for a period of time. And then when the show went national, I would go to the show only really
Right.
early, and we did 2 shows on Monday and 1 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, then I would go back to Rosemary Reed and work for the
Really?
day.
So you really had 2 jobs.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I did.
Interesting. Okay. Um, should we stop here for a minute or
Yeah,
or
I'll
continue?
regroup.
Okay. Well, I think you're doing great.
Well, as I said, everybody loves to talk about themselves. But I have had a fabulous, interesting life.
So anybody who is starting out in life, what would be something you would tell them? You know, what do you what if you had a little secret or something that really worked for you? What would it be, or what would you tell them to do to get to success?
Oh, I guess just be flexible and look, delve into every opportunity you had, even though I was kind of dragged along. I worked at a lot of extra shows. And when I was in high school, I worked on a television show called Teen Reporter. It was a newspaper of the air kind of, and I was the fashion page. So I modeled, clothes for teenagers. And I did a lot of ladies' afternoon shows where I'd wear a bathing suit and they would talk about it and stuff like that. And then I did some specials. They used to have an hour special on television. I worked on one that was Jimmy Durante special. I worked on a Dean Martin special.
Cool.
I worked on a Jerry Lewis special. Now, I don't know, nobody's gonna know those names anymore by the time you see this, but they were big stars, and it was interesting because they all had such big egos, and you're just sort of the fluff looking at them and, completing their picture. But it was good. I never had any problems with anybody being, inappropriate and all. So I feel very fortunate. As I say, everybody kind of took care of me.
All right. So work hard.
Yeah, you work hard, you show up on time, and you hit your mark.
Okay. And don't be afraid to learn new things.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
true.
Yeah. So at some point you met Arnie in this right about.
Yes, I did. I was single for almost 2 years, in which time I took up skiing and went on snow safaris and met a lot of people, dated a lot because I didn't date a lot in high school. I just had occasional boyfriends. And we were introduced in a blind date. Somebody had told him about me, and he came, and we decided, we'd meet on a Tuesday night because we didn't want to waste a weekend. And he came to the door, and we had a wonderful dinner, ended up dancing in Santa Monica, a little place, and decided we would just see each other the next weekend after, and 3 months later we were married.
So a little bit of love at first sight, or
Yes, definitely. It was definitely love and chemistry and dancing.
Well, Arnie was quite the charmer, I know.
Yes. And he had what I needed. He had direction, he had guidance, he had excitement.
Okay. So married 3 months into the relationship, and then
Yeah, and he had 3 children.
that's right.
And it was quite a surprise for my friends and my parents. So we were married in Santa Monica at the Presbyterian Church there. No, the Palisades Church. And we had a reception at my house in Palisades. So.
With Arnie, you had Chris, Claudette, of course, he came with the 3 children, which is Arnie Jr.
Yes, so
Eric.
we had quite a family after
Right.
a while, and we had his children every other weekend, all weekend. And on the alternate Sunday, we had them from 12 to 5.
No kidding. So,
So I go back to work to rest.
and I thought I had it hard with 1 going back and forth. You had 3.
I had 3.
Incredible. How'd they get along at first?
Very well.
Yeah.
When we were married, Kip was 2.5, Michelle was 3, Eric was 5, Arnie Jr. was 8. So they were pretty compatible. Besides, they were all in the swimming pool all the time.
Well, that's a huge handful. Literally, you have 5 kids at this point.
Yeah. And we had
6 kids altogether. What am I just saying?
yeah, and I had Arnie Jr. and Eric for a while when they were teenagers, permanently, semi-permanently, or they lived with us.
Interesting. So that must have brought a lot of challenges. How did you cope with that?
I don't know. You just do. You don't know any better.
Do you remember any? Do you want to tell us any stories about the fights or sibling rivalries? It doesn't have to be details. More funny stories, I guess.
Let's see. Eric and Arnie Jr. always kind of were poking each other and all that, and I'd say, well, just go in the pool and do it. Kip
Did
and
they?
Michelle got on very well. Yeah. And then we were a skiing family for years, all of us, and tennis. Most of us played tennis, so we had outlets and stuff.
And what was Arnie's business at the time?
Arnie had his glass factory when I met him.
But before that, he was in sales or marketing, right?
He sold television time.
Okay.
And that was it. And then he had several businesses after that. He had a swimming pool maintenance company. He was involved in oil. He had a 4 taco stands in California.
That's pretty diverse. Good for him. Some of the stuff I didn't know. I remember him talking a little bit.
Thank God for the glass factory, because that just kept us all on a nice, kept me in a nice secure position while he had wonderful times investing in getting other challenges.
And the factory I know is still there. And do you remember what year he started that? Or actually,
He started in 1958, the factory, and I married him in 1962. So, and I enjoyed traveling and doing shows with him quite a bit.
so almost 60 years.
Yeah.
60-something.
And we had nice trips all over to Europe and Germany, to Frankfurt, to Ireland, to England, for glass shows and to buy glass things,
Right.
business oriented, plus our ski trips.
Now you just have to go to China,
Yeah, I never made it to China. Kip and Chris did.
That's funny. So, what would you like to tell your grandchildren and your children today?
First of all, I love them very much, and I wish that they find their true fun and joy as I always did.
Okay. Well, I know they all love you very much.
And be true to yourself, true to your family, and what happens is not your fault all the time.
Okay.
Okay, over to...
I think
I gotta check the times.